I'm Moira Allen, co-founder of the Pass It On Network. And because there are so many new people tonight, allow me just a few seconds to tell you what the Pass It On Network is. We're a network, a global network of positive aging advocates, and we're fighting for the adaptation of society to the realities of longevity. This year is our 10th anniversary, and we are very happy to have about positive aging, our Pass It On Network liaisons in 65 different countries around the world. And it's a very exciting moment for us to notice what we have done and how much there is still to be done. This evening, on a more somber note, we'd like to recall and remember our dear Pass It On Network member, Tom Holloway, who passed away on the 1st of December this year. Tom Holloway was a true pioneer. He was devoted to training people in long life learning, and that was his what he did after he'd left his formal training. Tom made it possible for people all around the world to set up websites for on lifelong learning. And for us in the Pass It On Network, he helped us to set up networks for our people in Zimbabwe, in Zambia, in Botswana, and in South Africa. So, Tom, your memory will live on, and your legacy is so firm. We can all model ourselves on Tom Holloway. Now I'd like to just pass over to Osnat and ask her to tell us more about LEAP and the rest of the program for tonight. Osnat, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Moira. This is a great opportunity to welcome our friends from LEAP, all the Bianca Stearns that you see on the screen, and all the people with the real names. LEAP is a community of older adults and caregivers who share, learn, collaborate, and advise on innovative solutions that are being developed for better aging and brain health. It is hosted by the Toronto-based Center for Aging and Brain Health Innovation, CABI, at the Baycrest. Baycrest is a university. And this LEAP is an advisory panel that is guiding innovators and entrepreneurs as they develop, test, and disseminate new ideas and technology to meet the needs of older adults' care. This is really great. So we welcome here to Pass It On Network a 50-50 monthly discussion. We welcome all the LEAP members. Don't be shy. I didn't get the sensation that you are. Use chat, raise hand when we get to the discussion. Don't just participate and share with us your insights. Okay, we have 3 questions in this poll. Maybe you can see them. Can you see them?
Adele, so in answer to the questions, the first question, how often do you use artificial intelligence? 46% said rarely, 25% sometimes, and 29% said often. The second question is, how knowledgeable are you about AI? 26 out of 28 people answered, 26 out of 28 people answered. 7 people, 27% said very little knowledgeable about AI. 65% said somewhat knowledgeable about AI, and 8% said very much knowledgeable about AI. In answer to the third question, which was, in 50 years, how likely will AI make the world a better place? 28 people answered, or 24 out of 28 people answered. 1 person said unlikely. 63% said not sure either way. And 33% said likely. a great deal of optimism that AI will make the world a better place. A fairly knowledgeable group about how much they know about AI. And yeah, a reasonable number of people using it at least sometimes, if not often.
Yeah, that I think fairly realistic question in answers. Thank you very much, Adele, for looking at the polls and analyzing it. It really it seems that everyone is talking these days about artificial intelligence, which we will call here AI. And everybody thinks that it has grand potential. Not, as we just saw in the polls, not everybody thinks it's going to go in the same way. The question is, will it elevate the world or destroy it? And the fact is that many of us are already using AI every day. If you take smartphone, for example, this is our modern magic wand. We have Siri, we have Alexa, we can snap pictures, we can count 10,000 steps, we can monitor our health on it, and many other things. And what artificial intelligence essentially does is figure out by itself, without any guidance, how to turn loads of complex data into helpful, personalized, and relevant experiences. And only one person thought that there was a dark side to AI, but there is a dark side. Even right now, AI learns from its environment and it makes independent decisions based on the data that it harvests from the world. It might also integrate age-related biases from this environment. Anybody here who has ever tried to fight ageism knows that it's not covert, it's overt, it's explicit, it's not implicit. And when that happens, it might also influence certain decisions, certain algorithms about healthcare or financial rules, and it will apply them to an entire group without any sorting and granularity. And sometimes things like this could undermine the quality of care and the social care that older adults receive. So the future of AI lies in the hands of those who shape and train it. And it's posing a tension between commercial interests and safe, responsible, and equitable AI. So you might wonder, why is it important? You might have your own ideas. We'll hear them very soon. In the coming decades, we foresee a global demographic shift toward older adults, coinciding with AI widespread integration. Innovative AI solutions can improve older adult lives, but only if we are part of the design process. Nothing about us without us. This is a familiar motto, nothing without us about us. What's true for crafting the UN Convention for the Rights of Older Adults is true for all other domains. So today we'll delve into the intersection of AI and aging, envisioning where technology and older adults can assist each other so we can live well and age in an active way. And we're going to do it, we're going to start this exploration with two wonderful guests from Toronto, Canada. And I'll introduce you in turn. Our first guest is Bianca Stern, the real Bianca Stern, who is the Executive Director of Health and Innovation Operations at the Center of Aging and Brain Health Innovation, known for short as CABI, and LEAP. And they're both at Baycrest Center in Toronto, Canada. She's a thought leader in innovation with over 40 years experience in healthcare. She creatively integrates occupational therapy, design thinking, and emerging technology to inspire inclusive and user-centric aging solutions. Welcome, Bianca. You can say hello.
I can if I'm unmuted. Hello, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to participate in this dialogue today.
Okay, thank you, Bianca, for being here. And we also welcome Adele Ostfeld. And Adele is a multifaceted LEAP member. She rediscovered her passion for technology after retiring as a vice president of human resources and an HR and general business consultant. She actively volunteers to assist older adults and those with mild cognitive impairment in leveraging technology for a more enriched life. And she's also committed to exploring innovative aging-in-place solutions. Welcome, Adele.
Hello, and like Bianca, it's very nice to be here and to see so many LEAP faces on screen, even if many of them are called the Unreal Bianca.
Yeah, that will live with us forever. And the way we're going to structure the first part of our session today is kind of celebrity interview. And our two celebrities here, Bianca and Adele. I'm going to throw some questions at you that will set some context to where we're going with this. And we'll start with Bianca and move to Adele on the same question. What sparked your interest in delving into the world of AI innovation and aging? Could you share a little bit about what makes this conversation particularly important to you?
Sure. I think where I would start is from my own perspective as an occupational therapist. So working in healthcare for this long, I've worked with all ages to help them do the things they need to or want to do in many different ways, whether it is introducing new tools or new ways of doing things. But their independence, their living their best lives at whatever age was very important to me in my work. So this idea of artificial intelligence, and now in the work that I do, seeing many solutions, whether they are to help watch over or monitor a person's movement in their home to prevent falling, or it is a smart assistant that helps them remember something, or a social assistant that connects with them and encourages them to connect. I think I see lots of applications of artificial intelligence in many forms, and you have probably also learned about the way that artificial intelligence is emerging in so many industries, from retail to farming to healthcare, where I sit. So I think, I'm interested in it. I'm cautiously optimistic because I see it as a way of helping people, enabling people, assisting people. At the same time as how do we harness it, not let it take over, because the debate is very active right now. Can we replace human intelligence? Will this run beyond us? And I always look at technology as a tool, and we harness technology to do what we want. And so the same way here, how might we create boundaries around artificial intelligence to shape and train it, like you're saying, Rosnat, to harness it, to influence it, so that it doesn't build on the data that might influence it in the wrong direction. I'm an optimist at heart, so I'm cautiously optimistic about where this can go. It is moving at a very fast rate, and so we do need to be very actively looking at how to best use it for good purposes.
Yeah. Ooh. Thinking a lot about this. What do you think, Adele?
Well, I echo a lot of Bianca's sentiments, although I don't think I can express them quite as well. But I'm a firm believer that technology can assist all people, not just older people, but all people, in living their best lives, provided it's used responsibly and with due care. I believe that AI can add to that, but with caution. I think the same kind of caution that Bianca was talking about. I recently heard a definition of AI, which essentially describes it as manipulated data. In other words, all AI is information that's contorted and shaped and deciphered and analyzed, but it's data, it's information, which I have to say is coming from us. To me, AI is a brain. It has no heart. And human interactions require heart. AI cannot take the place of a human. It can supplement humans, but it can't replace them. I think that in looking at AI as it relates to innovations to assist in independent aging, we have to be very careful that it doesn't create the social isolation, which I believe in and of itself is probably one of the biggest risk factors leading to an unsatisfying and likely unhealthy older life. So, Bianca says she's cautiously optimistic. I'm generally a half glass full person. I'm probably sitting right now between the top of the glass and the bottom of the glass. I think there's a tremendous amount of potential. AI's been around for a long time. It's just that it's become part of everyday conversation because of ChatGPT. Suddenly, with the introduction of ChatGPT, everyone wants to talk about AI. But AI existed, as Bianca said, long before this, or else not, it may have been you who said it. It existed in our smartphones, it exists in our telephones, it exists in our Fitbits, it exists in those little chat bots when you go on to talk to your telephone provider and they say, "Hi, I'm your virtual assistant. What's your question today? Let me help you." So that was all AI. Okay, but now because of ChatGPT, everyone's talking about AI, and its growth is definitely exponential. It's not a straight line. It's not linear. It's straight up. I think caution, due diligence are the words that we need to frame it going forward.
Yeah, thank you, Adele. I think the theme is that responsible development is something that should guide us with development of any application for older adults. And I want to direct a question to both of you. In your roles at CABI and LEAP, you're working a lot with AI developers and older users. You're bringing them together. But most of these people, most of these innovators are startups. They're small. They hope to make something, to make a difference in the world. And you have some strategies of how you integrate the views of older adults with the developers as the budding developers. The second part of this question is, while you're doing this, we know that big digital tech players dominate the industry, and their drive is more speed to market and profit. And how do you see your role, and how do you see the role of older adults when it comes to the big players? And what do you do?
Two very large, heavy questions, was not.
Yeah,
I think
it brief.
I'll make it brief for me and then pass it on to Adele. I think we're looking at a multi-pronged approach, which means it's not going to have one specific thing that's going to help along the way. As a solution accelerator, our center, CABI, is focused on working with all the stakeholders. So definitely, just like you said, how do we close the gap between innovators and those people who the solutions are meant for, the end users? So part of it is working with the innovator side of things. We get funding from our government to support the growth and development and validation of solutions, and to provide advisory services to help those solutions that are promising grow and get used by the people that need to use them. So in that process of advising them, we are increasing their awareness, we're offering them opportunities, we're drawing them into whether it is a focus group for project-specific goals or an insight forum that allows a lot more people like today, like yourselves, to really talk about the lived experience, talk about the challenges and pain points, talk about the wishes that you have. So I think we create the opportunities, but we also work separately with innovators and older adults to bring them together. The other thing that we do, and we're growing much more, are the people who are just coming up with these ideas, the students that are moving into disciplines that utilize artificial intelligence, and the researchers. And those people as well, in a more preventative and early way, we're trying to reach them, raise their awareness, bring them to a forum for them to get a better sense of the implications, the challenges and potential of artificial intelligence. It's so easy for these innovators to decide that they know it all already, that the technology is attractive enough, and that they can build a solution that everybody wants. And in fact, my fear is, as much as artificial intelligence is informing things like our smartphone, could innovators say to ChatGPT, give me the persona of a person that's 80 years old, and I will use that to create the innovation? And that worries me a lot, because rather than getting the input from older adults, AI could actually create that input, and that's not where we want to go. So I think my multi-pronged approach would be working to raise awareness, so that innovators are actively listening to older adults and using that insight to inform and refine their solutions, to make them real-world solutions. And then there's a role for advocacy, that we need to raise voices in the same way that today you're having this dialogue. How might we change the perception of older adults as contributing members to society, and that can inform the emerging technologies? And we sometimes work against the challenges and barriers of things like ageism. So again, I say for both those questions, it's a multi-pronged approach, which is both tactical, practical ways of bringing these groups together, and then raising awareness and advocating.
Thank you.
And I think I'm just going to build upon what Bianca said from the perspective of an older adult who can benefit from AI. See, I do have some optimism. I think it will be important for innovators to design products that older adults need. And that's the distinction here. Design products that we need, not what you, the innovator, thinks we should have. This is not a field of dreams. For those of you who remember the movie, this is not, if you build it, they will come, right? Innovators need to listen to us, to hear our voices. Osnat, you made reference to nothing about us without us. It's very much a case of that. Now, that doesn't stop them from innovating for other people as well, and they can design their great ideas for what younger people need, but for what we need, they need to listen to us. They need to hear our voices. They have to be informed by our requirements. They cannot expect to design the next best thing to sliced bread and then expect that we're going to develop a taste for that sliced bread.
Yeah. What strikes me from what you're saying is that we always look for who is not in the room when something actually takes place, some development takes place. And what we hear from Bianca was saying, and what you're saying, Adele, is that there's no substitute for the real thing. the people who need to be in the room are the people who are going to use it, the people who know what they need, and the people who are going to make this a success and adopt it in the bigger world. And talking about the greater world, one of you said everybody wants to develop solution that everyone wants. And we here at Passiton Network, we have members from all over the world, from rich countries and poor countries, from very technology advanced countries and some that are not. And everybody wants some solutions, and everybody wants their life to be active and better. And one of the things that often strikes me is that we cannot, solutions are not one size fits all. So how can we ensure that AI solutions for older adults are easily understood and accessible across diverse culture, and ensuring that everybody benefits regardless of their cultural and geographical background?
Part of inclusivity, right? I mean, it depends on how we create channels to hear the youth context, right? So every country, every community has certain capabilities, has access to things. We need to understand that when we're helping to accelerate solutions like this. On the innovator side, they have to also build the flexibility. If this is a solution that people, as Adele said, is a needed solution, then they have to really look at how that solution is mobilized in these communities. Now, to a certain extent, artificial intelligence, the more it becomes sophisticated, the more intuitive it becomes, the more it can collect and understand and learn from data in different countries. So there's a lot of ingredients there that can support and enable different communities to access the solution. But again, you need support from a variety of means, whether it is at the policy level, at the government level, even connectivity, things like that that are broader socioeconomic and technology infrastructure issues that support a country or a community to adopt something. And then at the level of the innovator, it's to what extent that innovator create a real valuable solution by making sure it's not only for the privileged few.
Yeah.
I think as well, though, that groups such as this, the Passiton Network, CABI, LEAP, I think we have to take the initiative in making ourselves known to innovators. CABI puts out calls for innovations in certain fields. Whether Passiton Network can do something else, whether the people within Passiton Network, their own connections to their worlds, can advocate for themselves, can advocate for inclusion. But we have to make ourselves known to the big boys as well as to the little boys, so that they're forced to engage with us if they want to create sustainable market interest and even profitability. I've got no problem with companies wanting to make money, but they have to make money making things we need, not things they want us to have.
Yeah.
So they have to engage with us, whether it's through focus groups, through pilots, through whatever means are necessary, but they have to engage, and we can't stand back and wait for it to come to us. We have to take the initiative and push ourselves forward. We have to make ourselves known to innovators. We have to go to the Microsofts and the Amazons and what have you and say, you know what, you're designing for us, come and talk to us. Hear what we have to say. We can't be shy.
This is an excellent time to move into conversation with everybody. And I have a few other questions. And we are a lot of people here today. So in order to hear everybody, we're going to break into smaller groups for 15 minutes. And I'm going to put in the chat a couple of questions that you can choose either one or both of them to discuss with the people in your group. So the following questions yes, I just put them in chat and I'll read them to you. The first question that you may choose to discuss is, as we navigate the intersection of innovative AI solution and the lives of older adults, the principle of nothing about us without us becomes crucial. How can we apply this principle across all domains of AI development to ensure inclusivity and respect for older adults' perspectives? We heard a little bit about this from our guests, and this is a time for you to elaborate it within your groups. The second question is, another intersection is AI and advocacy for older adults. How can we leverage AI solutions to bring about positive policy changes that address older adults' unique needs? What roles can AI play in influencing policies that impact the aging population? Welcome back. I think we recovered most of you. And we're going to take a few minutes to just see what wowed you in your conversation. There's one comment I wanted to make. AI, and this is, thank you, Megan, for making that comment. AI is so many things. We cannot today cover everything where artificial intelligence is used, but know that it is infusing every single aspect of your life in many different ways, big and small, whether you're an individual or a community or government. There's always some kind of information processing that is being done not by humans, because it is the quantity of it and the complexity of it is more than what we can do in the time that we have. So we're not going to go today into many examples what AI is. As you know, after this session, we send a little highlight document, the highlight letter that is going to have a lot of links to resources where you can educate yourself more about it. And the next almost 10 minutes, I would like to ask, for those of you who have something that wowed you in the conversation that you just had with other people that you'd like to share that has to do with the questions that we asked or something else. And you can raise your digital hand by clicking on reactions button that is at the bottom of your screen. And there's something that's called raise hand. We are too many to be able to see you if you just wave your hand, so you really have to raise your hand, or use the chat to say what you didn't get to say. And please use headlines so we can hear from as many people as possible. So Alan, you were first, so please do.
Thank you. In our group, we had a mix of cautious optimism and some more optimism. But the main thing just to be brief, if AI becomes more and more in the hands of 4 large firms, the laws of the market are going to be predominating. And in the Western mind, the more you generalize, the better. So even if the older population represents a larger and larger, it's going to be a leveling. I mean, the risk of having something that is too general and too not respecting the variety of people is very high. And I know the 2 speakers addressed us a little bit, but the question is, who is going to actually help the market be disciplined? Because it needs to be disciplined, is that domain.
Yeah, really good question. We can see the legislators in Europe and in the US are struggling with this. It's like a runaway train. Thank you. Tom and Hans, and then Catherine.
AI is a technology. And if you go back, the first technology, or one of the first technologies, was the use of stones. More recently, the Industrial Revolution. And it's up to people what they will do with it. And as far as older adults, I think the key issue is engagement. And that's a very, very difficult thing to accomplish. The close of our meeting was, how do we get the 80 or 90% of the people that, for whatever reasons, do not engage, to engage? And I started to answer and it was shut off. Anyone that can answer that question can conquer the world. It's in the nature, and it's not a pejorative type statement. People are busy, people are fearful, and to get the developers and the entrepreneurs to address needs and interests, those needs and interests has to be conveyed. And if it's only conveyed by a group of people such as on this call, it's not going to be fully representative. And how you get that broadened engagement is the $64 questions, if I mark my age by that remark. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Tom. I'm going to pass it to Hans and then to Catherine Klein.
Thanks a lot. It's very nice to be with you again after so long time. But just a quick mention. There was a question in the beginning. Do you think it will make the world better, a better place? And it's a question of what do we mean by a better place? I think artificial intelligence might lead to a lot of fake world that we get through the machines and the people, companies, governments, whoever wants to spread the fake news could use the artificial intelligence. And I don't want to live in an artificial world, having no human contact, for example, except somebody that is artificial. Well, these are sort of, I'm a little bit scared of that. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Hans.
and our group, just to add to what's been said, had 3 points. One is to make sure that when we talk about having technology be accessible, we've got to think of it beyond affordability. It's also for every ability of every person, because that gets left out, I've discovered, in too many groups. Another, just to add to the need to better understand the impact of AI. And it's not just aggregating and disseminating and analyzing huge amounts of data, but it's also almost at the point, or is at the point, where it can think for itself. So that's a huge new area to understand. And then finally, we were talking about in the second question about ageism, and that's the underlying foundation for a lot of our concern. So we came up with the question of how do we reach into the thinking of these young white male innovators? And the suggestion was maybe having a global competition. How do we make an ad, a humorous ad? And one of the people in the group mentioned in Nardia the fact that they're accumulating money and you won't get to take that when you die. And there was the sort of the issue of, you know, being encumbered by all that money as you lie there dead. I don't know, but something that would try to not just provide these young innovators with our views, because unless they're really open, they won't hear it. But sometimes humor or music can make a difference.
Thank you, Catherine. Those good points. Peter.
Thank you. I enjoyed our group, and thanks, Bianca. Good to see you. I wanted to add the climate crisis to this conversation because where the world is not facing one problem, we're facing polycrises. And the question is, how does AI and climate link to each other? In many ways, but both require us to really, as some of you have been saying, rethink the values underlying our very civilization. This is an intergenerational issue where these young capitalists, I'm not against capitalism, but somebody used the word regulated. This idea that we have a system where making money, which you can't take with you, You can give it to your heirs, and they do. But the fact is that if the heirs don't have a planet, then we have a really huge problem. So I really would like us to think of the conversation about AI and its potential and its dangers in the context of these other social issues that we're addressing. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Go
I
ahead.
did, real quickly, I don't, part of the problem is even the people who run all these companies have no idea where AI is going. So for us to think we can influence it, or even influence them, they just have no concept of where it's going to go, whether it's going to be positive or negative. There's no regulation about anything right now. It's market driven. I've seen some of the amount of capital that's being invested in all these different AI companies, and it's multiple billions of dollars on a regular basis. That's number one. Number two, I don't think you have to worry about, I don't think AI is going to be used a lot in making products so much, but AI in terms of its healthcare, hang on just one second. The use of AI in medicine to decode what's going on, for example, with Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's disease, to be able to decode DNA and use it in CRISPR technology for managing genomes. It's huge. That's where the big value is for seniors. I mean, for those of you who have grandchildren, I have no doubt that there are grandchildren there that are going to regularly live to be 100, maybe 150. And it could very well be because of how AI has affected longevity. That's where the real money is in AI for these companies, and where the real future lies. Because the person is right who said it. AI is about thinking. It's not about just data. And we don't know what it's going to think.
It's scary and promising at the same time. And because we're already 12 minutes after the hour, as you know, we are 75 minutes. This is our formal session, and we're going to extend it just a little bit now to allow Bianca and Adele to bookend this conversation and where they see the call to action could be. And then we're going to close formally, and then we're going to keep the session open for another 15 minutes for all the things that we didn't get to say. So I'm going to pass it on to Bianca and then to Adele to bookend this conversation.
You know what, I started by saying I'm cautiously optimistic, but I really believe in human beings and humanity. And I want to say that we can take that agency to influence. Yes, like Doug is saying, right now it's such a messy space. It's moving at a fast rate. There isn't enough regulation, but that doesn't give us the excuse to stand back. I really think we need to influence it, because as the debate goes back and forth, what you're seeing now are more innovators raising a flag. So even if we increase people's awareness and we bring it forward and lobby, like John was saying, I think it could have an impact. But I don't think we should do it in a fragmented way, as in, you guys do it here, we do it there. I think I would buy into a much more collective effort to have one voice around some of these things and to advocate for them. And ageism is a big deal. As our boomers get older, they're becoming a larger voice, saying that there is a positive aging mindset, and we do have a lot to contribute. And I think there's a potential in us working together to raise that voice.
Thank you, Bianca. Adele?
I don't think there are closing comments, because this is still an ongoing conversation. I mean, the different things that we've heard around the room, the concerns, is it going to be good? Is it going to be bad? What does the future hold? I guess my innate optimism says we can do something about this, but we can't just talk about it. We have to do, we have to act. You know, Bianca talked about ageism. That happens to be one of my pet horses. I do a lot of writing about ageism. We have to speak up for ourselves. No one else is going to speak up for us. It's incumbent on us to make our voices heard. And as Bianca said, I think if we can do that in a unified way, still respecting the differences amongst our different cultures, our different geographical environments, this has to be good for all of us. It can't just be good for some of us. Somehow or other, we have to make it good for everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Adele. And I just want to throw there that we say AI and technology and whatever, but for each and every one of us, how proficient are you? And can you handle all this tech change that is coming towards us? It doesn't mean that you need to be a developer. It doesn't mean that you need to be a technology expert, but it means that you need to understand what is coming your way. And one example that I saw somewhere is that in many restaurants now, the paper menus were replaced by a QR code that you have to scan, and then you have to go to your phone, and then you have to do to find what you want to eat. And that is something that irks me quite a bit. But this is something that not all of us are deft enough to manage. So how are you enough educated in technology to participate in changing that story, in changing the story with the developers, to change the narrative before it changes for you? And my last message is get educated on this. However you can, maybe 1% more than where you are right now. I want to close formally now, and then we'll stay for another 15 minutes. So formally, thank you very much, Bianca and Adele and the LEAP community for being here. And my God, this was so interesting, and we didn't talk even one tick. And there's so much to consider and so much to work on. For us as older adults, nothing about us without us, and nothing for us without us. I put in the chat a link to a feedback survey. It will also be included in the follow-up note that we sent. It's very important for us to know what you think about your experience and what you'd like to hear further. We are going to have this session on our YouTube channel, and we wanted to invite you, mark your calendar for January 8, 2024 for the next 50/50. And in this session, we will welcome Cameron Kemp, who is an innovator and pioneer in the Montessori lifestyle approach to dementia care and beyond. And this is going to be a really interesting conversation, and we hope to see you there. So that's the 8th of January, same time, same place. Watch for an invitation in your mail. And this is where we stop formally, and those of you who have to leave, sorry to see you go. And those of you who want to stay for another 15 minutes, we're here for you.
Yeah, I just want to maybe correct or modify a little bit what I said, given what I said, I heard afterwards. I have great faith in the human spirit, but I don't have faith in the systems that are governing us at this time. And they will need to crumble and change for the human spirit to be freed, my sense. That's the border between optimism and pessimism. I'm optimistic about human nature, but I'm pessimistic about the way our systems are reinforcing themselves at this time.
Thank you. Any other thoughts?
Well, I'll offer some thoughts. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Going back to what I was saying, I think that AI is a technology. It's complex. And I recently looked into the difference between complex, which is almost algorithmic in a discrete sense, and complicated, which gets into the issues involving human beings and all the different factors that enter in. It's kind of like when you make a survey that can be very misleading depending on how widely based you take your survey participants and the data. But I think the hope is that the right people will be involved and people to be involved. And that the point that I made at the end, that getting people involved is the key issue. And groups like PION, and I don't know if Peter Whitehouse is still there, but I've been introduced to his InterHub, which is part of the Presencing Institute that came out of MIT and is a worldwide network of people addressing all sorts of issues in this whole scheme of things, including older age. A lot of people are doing wonderful work, but how to get the engagement with the broader population that can bring about change is the key issue. And that I struggle with constantly at both the local level and above.
Thank you, Tom. Tom, maybe we can put the link to the Presencing Institute in the chat so we can all.
I'll try and find it.
Thank you. Luann?
Sorry, just a couple of things. We talked a little bit about, we don't want to get too fearful so that we don't embrace the values. And so it's finding that balance of, it was suggested that maybe older people may just say, I'm out of here, leave me alone, I don't want technology, and further back away, rather than saying, there's some value here and I want to embrace it and be part of it. So finding that balance. But what concerns me most in the near future, and in the short haul, obviously there have to be regulations. But in the U.S., we're coming up against a major election in 2024, and there's so much information out there that even has taken Joe Biden's voice and reprogrammed messages from him, so you'll hear Joe Biden say, and it's not really Joe Biden. They've, this voice issue that the AI is able to do, duplicate voices, where Joe Biden is saying, well, yes, I realize I'm not as smart as I used to be. I am getting older. My, cognition is not good. And of course, Joe never said that, but these things are being reproduced using his voice. And so that worries me, in the short haul. How will it impact our elections next year? And that's a major issue. So just wanted to throw that out but I love it. I use it all the time. I do documents, proposals, letters. I couldn't be without it anymore. But I loved what you said, Osnet, that it's data, and it can easily, whatever they have is their data, whatever older people, who they are, is reflected in their output. And then it's like, yeah, okay. we've got to regulate this, but great program. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Luann. One of the sentiments that keep coming here again and again and again is that sense of fear. And I want to come back to what I said before, is just, if you know what it can do, even though you don't know how it does it, or you cannot, it is the AI in general, all this processing. If you know what AI can do, even those things of voice replication, then you are more likely to see it coming, as opposed to being surprised by it. And in the hands coming up and going down, who was it
that was me?
That's Doug, yeah. And then there was Karen Mason after you.
The problem is our problem is you don't know what AI can do. That's the problem. That's one of the problems, because we're at the very, very beginning of AI as really a tool. It's almost hard to think of it even as a technology, because it's so unlike every other technology. This is a technology that learns constantly. And when it's learning, it's changing. And there's not ever been another technology like this before. And it's learning much faster than anybody can even imagine. And it's getting faster all the time.
Yeah.
Besides that, it's also open source. So a lot of what they've done, instead of keeping it proprietary, they've open sourced it. So it's not that there's one company or 100 companies or 1,000 companies that are using it. There can be 200,000 people that are making their own use of AI and making it into a product. So there's no one place to try to influence when everybody can do this. That's why it's so different than everything else.
We'll probably try to influence it wherever we can. That's why we're here. I want to, we have just a few more minutes, and I want to pass it to Karen and then to Isaac.
Oh, it's okay. I'm actually interested to hear what Tom has to say next, because, but no, I was just going to follow the lady that, and we all hear of Luann, we all hear of those instances where AI has been used in a negative way, and it's very harmful. And it's because it's not regulated yet. But I'd like to hear what Tom has to say here. Thanks.
And I'll pass it on to Isaac and then to Tom after.
Hello.
Hi. Yes.
Hi. So I think I'm really interested in the conversation that we've been having today. And I'd like to add as well that, as the years go by, there are going to be continuously new things that are going to be coming out with new functionality and maybe different intuition that comes with that technology. So let's say it's a continuous process where we need to look to the people who are developing these new technologies that are influencing our lives, and be present and maintain an active role, so that when it comes to learning these new technologies, we're able to really understand them, and then we're able to help each other out, the people in our community or our loved ones, so that in that essence, instead of just being fed these new technologies like with AI, where you can go online and there it is, it takes on more of a a role from the community, rather than just everyone being left to their own devices. So I just wanted to add that.
Yes, thank you. That's important comment. Tom, and then Myrna, and then we're going to close, unfortunately.
Doug's comments express a concern that many people have. And while I'm not an authority on AI, I do have a background on information theory and telecommunications and so forth. And I have a number of friends that are experts. And I've had a number of interesting conversations. And my perspective, which has been reinforced by those who are much more knowledgeable, both in the breadth of their involvement and in the depth of their involvement, to agree that AI itself, the technology, is not the threat. It's the people that will use it. And so in terms of legislation and governance and so forth, it's figuring out how to get to and control the people that are developing the applications. The technology is algorithmic. It's complex. There is a stochastic aspect to it, but that's not the real power. And it's the complications that evolve when people become involved in using the technology. So the technology itself does not present a threat. In fact, I think it offers a great hope. I cited the book by Reid Hoffman, Impromptu, Advancing Humanity Through AI, which he writes with ChatGPT as his co-author, and it's very illustrative and illuminating in various ways. Someone just mentioned with Joe Biden and his voice. Well, it's not just the voice. In one of the books I've read, they cited, and this would be at least 6, 7, 8 years ago, the Chinese produced a video of Donald Trump speaking in Chinese, advocating all kinds of things. And so it's not just the voice, which is easy to capture, but because if you have sufficient computing power, you can generate an exact image which will look like and speak like the person they're representing. That's the threat. What people will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I just wanted to just add that we are talking here about very specific type of artificial intelligence, but if you think about some bigger uses of it, if you're a country, you can use artificial intelligence to analyze all the data that comes from the country and do resource allocation in a much more intelligent way, and identify future needs and things like this. It's just another way of using it. And it's not only about scamming and defrauding and scaring everybody. And Myrna, your last comment, and then we're going to close.